Hello, I'm Jay, owner of Volunteer Audio in Oliver Springs, Tennessee. I get a ton of questions, people messaging us, and even seeing people asking questions in forums about Boom Audio. The differences between Boom 1 and Boom 2, what you can do if you've blown a speaker, how to properly upgrade it, and can you put it in your bike if somebody took it out of theirs? So hang out as I go over all these different questions and answer as best as I can what you can do to make your boom system even better. All right, so we've had this crazy influx of questions about Boom audio systems, primarily because a lot of people are wanting this new SoundStream HD HU14 radio so they can have that GTS look at Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but have a great EQ. The problem is this radio does not maintain your Boom audio amplifiers. So people are trying to figure out, what do I do? So I'm going to tell you, the first time I had a Boom audio system come into our shop, it was a CVO Street Glide. Or Ultra. This guy brought it in, he says, I want it to sound better, I'm just not happy with it. Well, I listened to it here in the shop, I was pretty impressed. It sounded really good here, just like it probably did when you bought your bike on the sales floor. What I didn't realize was, as we got louder in volume, how distorted and how hard it was going to be to clearly hear the audio. So I want to go over these factory Harley options and tell you how you can tell which one you have. First off, I'm going to talk about Boom 1. So Boom 1 systems are going to have a 6.5-inch mid, and they're going to have a tweeter mounted over to the side inside of that mid. If you looked at the rear of the speaker, it's going to have one positive and negative connection. I say this because Boom 2 are going to have two separate sets. Another thing you probably didn't know is the Boom Stage 1 speakers, they were built by Rockford Fosgate. Actually has a logo on most of them right between the positive and negative terminals on the back of the speaker. Now, in a Boom 1 system, you could have had something as simple as just these speakers. Some dealers put the Boom 1 speakers in and called it an upgrade. Most of the time, Boom 1, especially in a CVO, is going to have an amplifier. Amplifier was originally made by Harman, but you would have one amplifier mounted in the fairing to do 4 speakers. Now, let's talk Boom 2 and the big difference with it. So if we go to Boom 2, we're going to have a 6.5-inch solid mid. We're also going to have a 5x7 solid woofer that goes into a bag lid. And in some cases, we're going to have another 6.5-inch woofer that's going to be in our lower. So this 6.5 is going to have one pair of connections also. But in front of this is going to be a grill. That grill is going to have a separate mid and tweeter, a smaller version, that has its own set of leads as well. This is what we call bi-amped. So this one speaker, because it's one speaker when we count our mid and our tweeter, has two sets of connections that are running to our amplifier. Same thing on the 5x7. If you open up your side bag and you look on the underside of your lid, you're going to see two sets of connections, one on the front and the rear of the speaker. Now this is confusing to some people. They blow that speaker because in Boom 2 the bass is just way too high. You go down the road, you're trying to get it where you can hear it, and all of a sudden you've blown speakers. Normally by the time we touch the system, they've replaced these speakers 2 or 3 times at their local dealer under warranty, and they've just got tired of it. But the next step is we see people go out and they buy a Rockford Fosgate or some other brand 5x7 drop-in, and it only has one connection on it. They hook it up to the one connection and it never sounds as good as it used to, because what they didn't realize was you've got 1 amp in your side bag that runs the rear speakers, 1 amp in the fairing runs the front speakers, and if you have the lowers, you have a 3rd amp in your right side bag. So this amplifier, even though it's a 4-channel amp, only runs 2 speakers, and it does bi-amp, meaning it sends a signal to the mid, a signal to the tweeter. The mid only plays mid. It plays no tweeter. If you put an oscilloscope on it, or you put an RTA on it, and you start reading and seeing what frequencies it's doing, that RTA is going to have a drop-off and only play mid. There's no tweeter. If you go to the tweeter circuit, you're going to see it only plays high range. So when you connect one of those 2 signals to your new 5x7, you're only getting half the sound. You never get the high end and the low end at the same time. So trying to do better, trying to upgrade, leads to spending more money on a speaker that doesn't sound as good as it used to. So I'm going to go over a couple options and scenarios. Because of the bi-amped part of Boom 2, you're pretty much stuck. If you want to upgrade it, I already told you, the EQ has way too much bass and it blows the speakers. If you flash it to anything other than a Boom 2 factory flash, these CAN communicated amplifiers simply turn off. They no longer produce any sound. So the flash change for the fix cuts your amps off. That's not a fix. New speakers, you only get half the sound. That's not a fix. You go back and you buy the same factory speaker, you put it in, a couple more rides, you've blown them again. So it sounds great in the showroom, sounds awful riding, you have to go too loud, you blow them up. I have a new solution that I think is a viable solution for a budget fix. Now this isn't still yet super cheap because you still need a set of speakers and you're gonna need really good quality speakers to try to fix the problem. So this is the Infinity Kappa Perfect 6x9. We also have an Infinity Kappa Perfect 6.5, the 600X and the 900X. On the back side of this speaker, there are two sets of connections. One is marked TW for tweeter, the other one is marked WF for woofer. So we could take a set of adapters, whether it be made by American Hardbags or some other company, and we could adapt the bottom of your 5x7 lid to this big, heavier duty, beefier 6x9. Now the big deal is this is going to handle the bass much better, far less likely to blow the speaker, and the only speaker on the market that even comes close to being compatible with your system. So this uses two 3-ohm voice coils. Your factory speakers, two 2-ohm voice coils. Now the big difference is this is far more efficient, so it's actually going to be louder off less power. It's going to play lower because it's a 6x9. I think this is our only viable solution without changing everything. You also have the same thing with the Infinity Kappa Perfect 6.5, two sets of leads. Now, so far, nobody is selling connectors for both sets of those plugs. Not a big problem in the front. On your 6.5, you have the mill and the spades that you're going to just plug the wires in. Here, we'll plug right into that Infinity 6.5 also. But you're going to have to run wiring from the original tweeter to the new tweeter. In that case, the crossover that comes with the speaker, you're not going to use. Now, let's talk about the better solution. This is a Band-Aid. This probably will sound better for a while, but it's still not going to be everything you wished it would be, and it's not going to work if you change out to the new radio that most people are wanting to change to. So at Volunteer Audio, we've looked at this from every angle, and we've tried to develop the best possible solution to get you more volume, more clarity, and build a system that's not continually blowing speakers. So here's what we did. We went from a 300-watt Boom Audio Stage 1 amp, or multiples of this same amp in Boom 2, and we replaced it with 1 Hertz HMP4D. So we went to a 600-watt amp, but we also went to a super fast switching Class D power supply that is far more powerful than you could imagine without pulling a lot of power from the charging system. This particular amp pulls 30 amps of current. If you had Boom 2 with 6 speakers, you have 3 of these. That's 90 amps of possible current draw. This amplifier pulls 18 amps of current at full power. So we just lowered our electrical systems, the pull on it, to where we didn't have to change out a battery. We don't have a stator that's being overdrawn, but we've doubled the amount of power we're getting. And now, after putting this amp in and using our plug-and-play bypass harnessing that plugs in right where this amp did, simply unplug the amp, plug in the correct plug-in where it was, and it's like it's not even there. Then our plug-and-play amp plugs in behind the radio. So you can either, we build this for the new SoundStream Reserve radio. We build this for the factory radio after you've flashed it to a Boom Flash instead of Boom 2. So many solutions that we've come up with so you're not stuck putting those same speakers in over and over. At that point, we're going to have it bundled with Hertz Neo Series speakers, the Infinity Kappa Perfect speakers, the new Precision Power speakers, so many options. You'll see them on our website, and here at the end of the video, I'll go there and I'll show you how to navigate through and find the correct package for your bike. All right, so I want to touch on the difference again. If you have a Boom 1 bike, we're going to send you a different amplifier. That amplifier is already going to have your front amp harness wired into it. This is going to allow us to continue to play your rear speakers simply by plugging this in to where the original amp was, and there's no wiring for you to do. Plugs in the radio, plugs in the amp, plugs in an accessory port in the fairing, run power and ground back to the battery, and you're connected. All the speakers are connected. Your Boom 1 speakers would still work then simply off this amp. So if you wanted to get out at the most budget build, you put the new SoundStream radio in, you put our new plug-and-play amp set up for SoundStream, and you could leave these in place. They're 2-ohm speakers. They will still play off our amp and be louder than they've ever been. Next step up from that is you get 4 new 6.5s. You either get the Infinity Kappa Perfects, you get the Hertz SX165 Neos, or the new HD14 652s or 654s from Precision Power. So all of these we have pre-done in bundles built just for your Boom 1 bike. Normally, Boom 1 is going to be a CVO that has Turpack speakers. 2 6.5s in the front, 2 6.5s in the back, no visible amplifier. Now, I know I've talked a lot about CVO, Boom 1 and Boom 2, but let's talk about all the people that have an Ultra, maybe you have a Limited, and the dealership added on Boom Audio, and now you're trying to figure out what to do. You don't have to buy a Boom-specific package. You go in and you buy a Batwing fairing or a Shark Nose fairing kit from us, 2-speaker, 4-speaker, 6-speaker, whatever you want. But the first step is you're going to be removing this harness. So when the dealership added on your Boom Audio, they added on this particular harness to the bike. It's very simple to uninstall if you just pay attention to what's going on. It has front speaker pod connectors on both sides. They simply teed in. They unplugged the front pod, they plugged this in, they plugged the factory lead back in. Now they had signal in and out of the amp for both of the front speakers. They also had an additional connector, if you're doing Boom 2, that plugged in actually to the rear speaker plug, and it fed both of the front tweeters. And then this is the important part. There were 2 sets of data connections that plugged in underneath the factory radio. Now you have to get to these and unplug them and make sure the male and female that are there, that you plug them back together in the bike. Because if you don't, after removing this harness, your bike won't start. So very easy to uninstall. Just make sure all the factory connectors that you unplug, that you do plug them back in. It's also going to have power and ground that runs back to the battery, but very simple. You're already putting a new amp in. Follow this down, unplug this harness, and take it out. Now this goes on to my next series of questions. People ask me all the time, so-and-so's got a Boom amp and Boom speakers, and I want to put it in my bike. What's it going to take? Normally they show up with this. If you show up with this, you're out of luck. You have no way to put it in your bike. You don't have any of the harnessing. So if this was an add-on system and you want the chance of reselling it to a friend without making them mad, pull this harness out and sell it and the amp together. They can get it flashed, and maybe they'll be happy about it as long as you were, and then they'll upgrade with us in the future. But so let's recap. We covered what Boom 1 is, 4 speakers and 1 amp, normally in a Turpack situation on a CVO. There are a few Boom 1s with a 5x7 with 1 connector, so always, if you have lid speakers, raise that lid and check and see how many connections you have. Also count your amps. If you have rear speakers and you do not have an amplifier in a rear Turpack, you only have 1 amp in the front or no amp at all. So it's going to be Boom 1 or just Boom 1 speakers. If you have a Boom 2 system, you're most likely going to have 5x7s in the lids with dual connectors and multiple amplifiers that you will see. There's no Boom 2 system that has 4 speakers and 1 amp. If you have lowers, you're going to have 3 amps. If you just have the 4 speaker setup, there's going to be 2 amps. 1 visible in the left rear bag, 1 in the fairing. If you have that system and you want to upgrade it, you've got to replace everything. If you're going to change the radio, you got to replace everything if you want to put any speaker in that's not a bi-amp speaker. There's no solution on an EQ fix for it either. In the future, coming long term down the road, hopefully into summer, maybe into fall, we'll have the next version of the SoundStream HD-HU14. This new radio is going to be able to use an iData Link interface to retain these Boom amplifiers. So all you guys that have been waiting, it is coming. We don't know yet how well we'll have control over that factory EQ. I'm hoping that we can take an RTA, throw on the signal, adjust the internal 13-band EQ, and bring down those extremely high bass notes. At that point, I think these Infinities will be a great solution to add on for better sound and without having to change out those amps. Because we know by then you're going to have blown rear speakers and you're going to need them anyways. So, volunteeraudio.com. Hang out, we're going to go down to our computer, I'm going to bring it up and walk you through how to find the specific package for your Harley and the best way to find it, the best way to buy it, and the best way to contact us. So let's go do that now. All right, let me show you first how to go to volunteeraudio.com. So www.volunteeraudio.com. All right, so once you get to our website, I want to show you how to get to the motorcycle section. So you can go right up here, click motorcycles. That's going to bring you to this page. Now this is very easy to find what you need for your motorcycle. We've got stereos, speakers, amplifiers, individual wiring, motorcycle batteries, add-on lids, lowers, and adapters. And then we have, if you come down here, we have where you need to get to for your CVO kits. We call them motorcycle audio stage kits. These are all the pre-built kits that we've made just for your motorcycle. So we're going to click motorcycle audio stage kits, and that's going to bring us up some more questions. What year bike do you have, and is it a CVO or an Electric Glide standard police bike? So in this case, we're going to look at some boom kits for CVO. All right, so once I click CVO, you're going to have a few more questions. We just went over boom stage 1, boom stage 2, and the differences. So you're going to see here we have Road Glide CVO boom stage 1, Road Glide CVO with boom stage 2, and Ultra CVO with boom stage 2. Now there may be more options added in the future as this is still a work in progress, but let's go to boom 1 and see what we have. So this is going to be primarily bikes with boom 1 are going to have 6.5-inch speakers. The next question is, do you want a radio or without? The radio we're going to include is going to be the new Soundstream Reserve HD-HU14. Let's click with radio just so I can show you what we've got. So now we have brought up all the different scenarios and packages. Now remember, this was for a Road Glide. This included the radio. This includes the new amp and the bypass harnessing. I'll bring one of them up here. So this is going to be our Hertz package. As you see, we have a radio. We have a pre-wired amplifier already mounted to an amp plate. In the main picture you can see this for easy installation. We're also going to include all of our boom bypass harnesses. Now in this case we're going to pre-wire in the boom stage 1 harness to the amp. The other ones are just going to be extras. You paid for them, they're coming to you, you can throw them away. So you see the current price on it. Pricing could change as at any time any of these manufacturers can go up. This particular package comes with 4 SX165 Neos. We'll go back and you'll see we currently also offer this with the Infinity Kappa Perfect 600X or the Precision Power HD 14.654 speakers. I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you some Boom 2 kits. So let's go to the Ultras with Boom Stage 2. At this point, we're going to be asked, do we want 4-speaker or 6-speaker? We're still working on adding in the radio packages. Let's see here, stage 4. Now it's going to probably ask for the radio. Kits with or without radio. I'm going to go without radio in this scenario. And what you're going to find out is that now the amp with the non-radio package is going to be pre-wired for the factory radio. You're going to need to flash it to a Boom 6-speaker 2-amp flash. But in this case, we've got packages built for stage 2 that come with the 5x7s from Precision Power. Let's click on this one. And you're going to see it includes the 5x7s that are direct drop-in for the lids. It's going to come with harnesses to plug into those 5x7s, 6.5 for the fairing, and an amplifier pre-wired to plug in. We can also offer this in 6-speaker packages. We also offer it with Infinity speakers, all Precision Power speakers, and we're currently working on our 6x9 replacement setups that will be added in very soon. They just use an adapter. You will modify the underside and go to a 6x9-inch speaker. So I hope that this showing you where to go on the website has helped you, that it'll help you find these packages. But again, if you can't find it, you can definitely call us, 1-844-30-AUDIO. It's right up here at the top of our page. You can email us at sales@volaudio.com. You can also just ask me a question right here on this YouTube video, and we'll definitely respond as quick as we can. So thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Please share this with your friends. Share it in the groups that you're on Facebook and all these other social media places. Share that we have solutions for CVOs that are plug and play and easy to use.